In the US, the Trump administration's revised travel ban on 6 mainly Muslim countries has come into effect. There's a 90-day ban for visitors and 120 for refugees unless they have bona fide links to the US, which includes business, work and close family. Although it won't count if you've got grandparents, aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, grandkids, in-laws or any other extended family members. The Supreme Court is to make a final decision, though, in October. Dr. Judi Jasser is a Syrian-American. He's also co-founder of the Muslim Reform Movement in the US. He supports the ban. But what does he think of the watered-down version of it?
First of all, as an American, once the American population feels comfortable that immigrants coming in have been vetted significantly, I think that'll make the climate for any of the immigrants of our families trying to come from Syria and elsewhere better. So I've been in favor of more stringent vetting mechanisms because at the end of the day, anything that will make the American population feel that our commander-in-chief has done what he can to make us more secure will then in the end make Americans feel more comfortable with those immigrants and refugees that are filling many of the states now that will be coming forth.
So in terms of this more significant vetting, we know that the US already has very stringent vetting processes for people coming to the US, particularly refugees. They last for about 2 years. Biometric data is given in those cases. What is it that you want to see more of? How much more stricter do you want it to get?
Yeah, I would disagree with the premise that it's been stringent. It's been stringent because the definition of vetting has to do with adherence or belonging or association with terrorist groups and violent groups that have been labeled as violent extremists. But there has been no measure or even articulation of a security vetting that looks at social media profiles, that looks at adherence to Islamist nonviolent ideology or jihadist nonviolent ideology.
So if you think someone's put on their Facebook, for example, that they understand why someone may join IS, for example, that would be a red flag?
Anything that articulates sympathies. For example, there was a study of European refugees. There's studies that 20 to 25% have sympathies for ISIS. And I can tell you, as much as I have deep sympathies for the rebellion and the revolution, we do not have sympathies for jihadists and the Islamists like the Brotherhood and others. So yes, I think social media profiles, they may be nonviolent, but it is not a right. It is a privilege to come to America, and I hope those people, our families and others that want to come here, not only come here to escape persecution, but come here because they share our social contract and the way they view society. Communist, military fascists, like the Syrian regime sympathizers should not be coming here either. They don't share our values either.
I'm not sure if you have been in contact with your family in Syria. What's been their reaction to this ban?
You know, their reaction is really more weighted to, is the administration, is the West going to help them against the two evils in Syria, which are the Assad regime and ISIS and the militant Islamists.
Does your family understand the reasons behind the ban? Do they agree with you?
They do, and let me tell you why. If you're in East Aleppo and you see a rush of thousands of people coming from West Aleppo, you have to believe that the first questions they're going to ask them is not what you're fleeing, but are you a jihadist? Are you an Assadist? Those two groups of people, none of my family want anything to do with entering their neighborhoods. So those are questions they ask. They know who the Islamists are. They know who the Ba'athists of the Assad military are, and they want nothing to do with them. So both of those vetting mechanisms are natural to Syrians inside Syria. So they've found it odd that we haven't had this discussion yet since the beginning of the exodus of refugees.
This partial ban means that you can only come to the US if you have close family or business relationships, and grandparents, aunts, uncles, nephews and nieces are not considered to be close relations, which is slightly bizarre because most people are quite close to grandparents.
The issue right now is who comes first. The first priority, just like when you're deporting anyone, if you have immediate family, that comes first and is a compelling argument. So who has a compelling argument with the state is those who are immediate family members in your nuclear family.
The thoughts of Syrian-American Dr. Judi Jasser.